I never thought I'd accuse Kirby Star Allies of being unfinished. In all honesty, I'm hoping to, God, that isn't the case. But hello everyone, my name's Soldier Ultimus, and welcome back to another video. And today, well, I don't know how to feel about this particular, accusation I'm giving out, honestly. It feels unjustified, but at the same time, I'm thinking, someone's gotta have to mention it. Okay, so let's start off with what exactly we're doing here. Okay, if anyone knows, Kirby Star Allies has come out in recent, a few weeks ago, in somewhere at the end of March or so. It's been a few weeks, and it's March, or no, April. Yeah, April. It's April 3rd on the date of this recording. When this is being posted is going to be up in the air, so I just wanted to tell you that just in case you wanted to know exact timing of this particular recording. And the update for Kirby Star Allies 2.00 has been released, and it's a bit weird, but at the same time it's given me a lot of thoughts on whether or not this is actually a game that's basically released more content for the game, or has been held back a bit and is releasing content subsequently in the updates to hide the fact that it's an unfinished game. Which is a bit of a, big accusation. This isn't Tony Hawk's recent, skating game. This isn't like any of those other games. This game is a finished game, technically speaking, since it has a lot of stuff to do. Well, technically, it's a short-ass game that I don't think deserves its, $500... No, not $500. $60 pricing point. But, whatever. I'm not going to get into that because that's, someone else's business to talk about. And you know what? Everyone can dislike that fact all they want. And you know what? I agree. I think Kirby Star Allies is too expensive a game for what it is. But that's the thing. What exactly is so technically bad about Star Allies that really doesn't warrant $60? Well, besides being a bit too short, it feels lacking in its own aspects. Well, aside from little aspects to the story, which I enjoy, honestly, there are certain little minor bumps here and there about it, such as the fact that the game itself really has some little aspects that I thought were okay, but then immediately were changed a bit in the recent update, which makes me think, why weren't these in the original game itself? Why are you putting these in during the updates? And that's what I thought, that's what all they were gonna do. Considering that they were mentioning, post-game characters after launch, I thought that's all they were gonna do with that. They were just gonna add in characters post-launch, weren't gonna do anything else. But it seems like as if these are actual updates to a game, in the similar vein of, beta versions of games, like Subnautica. When it got its subsequent, updates, it added stuff into it. And guess what? Kirby Star Allies is almost doing the same thing here. For example, there are these weird dream ending cutscene, it's most like an image, in which the characters are doing something, or certain characters are doing something if they're paired up with other characters during the Guest Star Allies mode. And technically speaking, this isn't a spoiler alert because this is just an image, but this one in particular is... I do want to talk about this one because it is referencing something that I do want to mention later on. But for now, ignore that. Because, well, you see these two images? I can understand the Marks, GUI, and the Animal Buddies one. That could have been just added recently. But the one with King DDD, Meta Knight, and Waddle Dee, those three were already in the game that you could already play as. Why exactly are they, this image added on in the 2.00 update? That's also another thing. This update's called 2.00. Why is it called that? Seriously, usually that indicates a sequel of sorts, or at least something else, that they add a lot to it in order to make it a second game. So what, is this Kirby Star Allies 2, technically speaking? Well, other than that, there are a couple other things they added, which I can understand if they just did that for either, little things here and there. For example, this is one big thing that I thought was weird that they added, especially in this particular. There is one that's sort of like a big spoiler alert, which I'll put an annotation for. No, not an annotation, a warning, and tell you when to skip, okay? So keep that in mind. But for this one, right here, this little one, you see this? Okay, this image in which it shows all the Star Allies, and I'm not spoiling anything here, so this isn't what I'm talking about. But for the Star Allies one, where all of the ally characters you have right here, this image is used during the final sequences of the game. And, well, there are a couple of empty spaces here and there that show off that, oh hey, certain characters could have been there, or, you know, they're just empty spaces. In the next scene is when the update came, in which Rick, Kine-kun, Gooey, and Marks are added, and you can see that they fill in those spaces somewhat well enough. Now, to be fair, that could have been just added there because, hey, if they say they're going to add in characters, they could always just, you know, put them in random places where there's empty spaces, so that makes sense. Honestly, that's not an issue. But now we get into this super secret, which is, you know, spoiler territory. And I'll give you a few seconds to click off. Or click over to the timestamp that I'm showing right now, so that way you don't have to get spoiled. Okay, good? Okay, we're good. In Hal's little secret where they have a golden statue of Kirby, which says, "We love Kirby," which I find adorable. There's two other statues, or a couple of more statues added in during the recent update, which has King Dedede, Waddle Dee, and Bandana Waddle Dee, Meta Knight, and the animal buddies Gooey and Marks added into it. I could understand if, again, this is somewhat of a similar situation with the photo. I could understand if, like, Meta Knight and King Dedede's and Bandana Waddle Dee's statues were added just because of them. But at the same time, I'm thinking, like, since they're already in the game, shouldn't they have already had a, like, golden statue there? But also, with the new animal buddies, they must have had that already made, or they've recently made it and added it in. And it feels weird why they added here. I mean, beforehand it was just the Kirby statue itself. Now it has these extra, like, golden statues attached to it. Were these things always in the game and they just removed it and then put it back in during the update, or was it something that they just added fully? That makes some sense, honestly. And then there's the final boss music. I won't tell you anything about it, but the final boss music for Kirby Star Allies is weird. The first one rendition of it is fine and all, but there's a different version of it where it says its own, like, type, like it says it in, like, one of the OTSs, or at least in the on YouTube. There's a different version of it called Versus Zero. No, not Versus Zero, by the way, but Versus version 2.00. That's a little bit odd. Technically speaking, this version is different from the original version that was in the game. And my only question is, why did they change that exactly? What is the point of that? Why did you change the musical scoring in the game if it was alright? Some people say this version, you know, 2.00 is way better than the original version. So I'm like, did they create a version hastily and then they thought, it wasn't as good, so we're gonna change it up in the recent update too? And finally, there is one last thing that makes me feel as if this was unfinished and, you know, they're just adding stuff as updates come along. And it's the fight with Morpho Knight. I really don't care about this particular spoiler, and I know it's a little bit here and there, but I won't talk about it too much. I'll just talk about the character itself. Well, not too much. And I don't think I'm spoiling too much when I say that this character is just another boss fight character you fight. Originally, when you fought against him, you were in the specific area, this particular image right here. As you can see, it's just another particular stage that Kirby and his friends will go through in the main story. And you, in the Guest Star Allies mode, you'll go through this particular stage too. But in the recent update, they changed it to this arena, this area, which looks completely different. I'm not sure whether or not this is like a new stage or is just a different version just for Morpho Knight, which seems kind of weird. Shouldn't this have been in the original game itself, despite Morphle Knight like being in here in the first place? Morphle Knight was here in the game like originally, but with the recent update, they've kind of just added this in. And I'm thinking, why do they need to add this in? What's the point of it? Why is there this whole stage different from the other stages? Is it to fit with Morphle Knight? If that's the case, why wasn't it in the original then? This all seems kind of odd, and you know what? Maybe I'm just going crazy and it is finished. They're just adding stuff and tweaking stuff and thinking to themselves, hey, you know what? Maybe we could have done something better with this particular stage. I don't know. All I do know is that, as a general whole, I feel as if Kirby Star Allies is a good game, honestly, it is. But at the same time, it's a bit, here and there. I don't know. If anyone thinks that Kirby Star Allies is in fact, fine as a game, it's a complete game, and all I'm just listing off is added stuff they're just adding for adding sakes, then please tell me in the comments down below. Really, I do want to know. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, please leave a like, comment, subscribe for more, and I'll see you all next time in the next video. Until then, sayonara, my bots. Take care. Sayonara.